Okay. Uh, I wanted to sort of do a follow-up video of the black guys that were arrested at Starbucks in Philadelphia, in America. And, you know, oh my God, this is just getting. Two black men arrested in Philadelphia Starbucks to meet CEO. I really don't understand why the CEO is behaving this in this way. Is this a publicity stunt? Is this guy thinking, God, this is a great opportunity for us? This is free publicity for his business, and he wants to show that whether these guys were right or wrong is a great opportunity. He's going to save millions of pounds in publicity and boost Starbucks if he thinks he's doing the right thing. I think he's doing the wrong thing. I think he should be supporting his manager. He should be backing up his manager. But instead, we see Starbucks manager who called 911 on black men no longer at store. Wow. Two black men arrested in Starbucks to meet CEO. Oh my God. This is getting ridiculous. This is really, actually, to be honest with you, it's quite embarrassing. I feel embarrassed because it now seems we consistently now have to play the victim card every single time. When is this going to end? When are we going to be able to, as black people, especially in America, live and work with black people without having to do this kind of nonsense? Where there is true prejudice, it needs to be dealt with. But when a manager is doing its job, okay, then that has to be respected. That's what you're paying. What's going to happen? You're going to see this kind of nonsense carrying on in all their stores. If the manager was wrong, I'll be supporting the two guys fully. But they weren't. They came into the store, went up to the counter, whatever, and asked to use the toilet. They were already straight away targeted because they came to the front. If they had just gone to the toilet, used the toilet, and sat down, the manager would still be within their rights to come over and say, "Excuse me, do you intend to buy anything?" Because the whole purpose of Starbucks is to buy your coffee. Either you leave and drink your coffee on the go, or if you're going to stay in there, they provide facilities for you to sit down and drink your coffee. They provide the facility for you to be able to use your computer. Listen up, people. The computers, the Wi-Fi is free. It's provided by Starbucks. You're going to say, "Oh, I pay for it through my coffee." Listen, I knew someone who sold coffee at a tube station. There was no seating facility. There was no Wi-Fi. They handed over their money for the coffee, and they went. And that business, on a weekly basis, probably makes about, I don't know, $5 or $6 grand. No, probably, sorry, about 10 grand. Sorry, because it's at a station. He makes a hell of a lot of money. They don't provide Wi-Fi. They don't provide seating. People come there, they buy the coffee, and they go off to get their train. Now, Starbucks provides this service as an add-on service. Whether you pay through your coffee or not is irrelevant. I'll tell you this: if I was the CEO of Starbucks, I would have said, right, okay, obviously this has caused a problem in our stores. So what we're going to do? We are now no longer going to provide Wi-Fi. Okay, and we're not going to provide free seating. Because when you go into McDonald's, they always say, they ask you, are you eating in or taking out? Now, I don't know if they ask the same thing at Starbucks, but they should do. They're going to say, are you eating in or taking out? If you're eating in, then you are going to pay an extra premium for sitting down at that table. Because the point is, those tables are for paying customers. These two guys walked in off the street, wanted to use the toilet. The toilet is not a public convenience. The toilets are for the customers, for people who have paid. When I walk into Costa here in the UK, I have never ever gone into a Costa to sit down to use my laptop. If I go into a Costa, I walk in and I'll buy either a bottle of water, or I'll buy a coffee, or I'll buy something and then sit down. I'm now a customer. Okay? And then when I want to use the toilet, I'll go and use the toilet. They can clearly see I've bought something in their store. This is the same policy for any other business. Do you think you can walk into a cafe, into these bread and cafes that do egg, bacon, sausage, tomato in the morning, and say, I'm just going to go and sit down there, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to open my paper, I'm going to read, because I'm waiting for my mate to come and pick me up. And you walk into that cafe, the person's going to come up to you and say, excuse me, can I take your order? And you can say, no, it's not, I'm waiting for a friend. Because it's raining outside, I'm coming in your cafe, sit here, and wait for my friend. They will say to you, sorry, this is for customers who are paying. This is nonsense. This is a nothing burger. Nothing burger. I mean, it's they're going to meet the CEO. Why? These guys knew what they were doing. They refused to leave the store when they were requested by the manager. The manager had no choice. I would have done exactly the same thing. Being a black man, I would have done exactly the same thing. The manager was doing his job. He or she was doing his job. What's going to happen now? I mean, this is just complete and total nonsense. Is this CEO going to give these guys money? Because I hope he doesn't. Why do you need to apologise to them? There's nothing to apologise for. They made the rod for their own back. They got arrested because they refused to leave a store when they were requested to. They were asked. They refused to go. So they didn't have any choice but to say, cool, please. What? So they should be just left. They should have just left them to do nothing. I'm sure this goes on around the country where people come in, they sit about loitering. They're not using it. They're not buying anything, but they come in, they sit down, they come to use a computer for free, come to use the toilet that is for the customers, and yet they'll be told, "Oi, are you going to buy anything or are you going to leave?" They're a business. How do you think they pay for the electricity, for the heating and the water, for the Wi-Fi, for the toilets? How do you think they pay for that? There's going to come a point, right, where blacks have got to stop this nonsense. If you do not like the way you're treated, set up your own coffee shops. Because I'll tell you one thing now. If this was a black-owned business and two black guys came in and do that business, they'd be out the door. They'd be out the door, mate. Black people are showing that they have no sense of responsibility. This is very, very embarrassing. There was a guy in Atlanta, security guard. I can't remember his name. Daryl, I think his name. He wanted to clean up there was a mall. It's a little shoddy little mall, and he wanted to clean it up so that other people could come into that area, into that mall, without feeling threatened, because there was just a huge amount of drug dealing going on and other issues. And he wanted to clean it up. But you know what? He didn't really get any support from the people who hired him. In fact, they basically eventually he ended up getting sacked from the business. But he was doing the same thing. He was implementing things that would, just so that the place was safe. So that in order to try and advertise for other people, other than these sort of gang people that were coming in and selling drugs and all this kind of business, to bring families in, kids and their mothers and fathers to come in to there as well, not just these hoodlums who wanted to just frequent the place on a regular basis. So you have to have a certain amount of guts to go into that place if you want to buy something. Look, these are guys who are playing victims. These are guys who have just been being stubborn for no reason at all, and they're now they are hired attorneys. And for what? All they had to do was get up and leave, as they were instructed to. This is a private business. Come on, stop this nonsense, black people. Stop this nonsense. It's very, very embarrassing. Okay, it's very, very embarrassing. You know. Now you're seeing these muppets are running in and they want to protest Starbucks. Why do you want to do it? It happened in one branch, so-called one branch. The rest of the other branches, there isn't any problem. But you want to boycott the whole of the business. It's just ridiculous. Come on, people. If you are sane and are not smoking the wacky tobacco, and you're able to think things through properly, you will see that this is a setup. This is a setup. All right. It probably didn't start off as one, but these guys must have thought, you know what? We can probably get something out of this, and that's all this is about. So yeah, this is nonsense. Stop the nonsense, black people. Here we go. They were trespassing, which is correct. Starbucks model community culture was a contributing factor. It sells the idea that a community meeting space where people are invited to gather, whether they're consuming Starbucks products the whole time or not. That community culture may have set the stage for the company's latest public relations crisis. Well, okay, fine. So let him go on a tour around the whole of Starbucks. I hope that what he implements is, in the future, is if you're going to come into Starbucks and you want to use our facilities, the toilets, the seats, you will have to buy something. You can no longer go into there, use the toilets, use the seating for meeting, and use the Wi-Fi for free if you're not buying anything. I really hope that he does this. I really hope that he sits back and says, this is what we're going to do. And that way it makes it fair for everybody. So if you go into Starbucks, this is what the situation is. You can't come in unless you're going to buy something. You can't use the place for meeting unless you're going to buy something. You can't use the toilets unless you're going to buy something. The toilets are not for public, for the general public. They're for the customers. Okay? If there aren't any toilets out in the streets, you need to talk to your local authority. They're the ones who are at fault by not putting out public toilets in the streets. All the public toilets in the UK, certainly in London, a majority of them were closed. All right? There are very few, I don't know what they call them, mechanical toilet, not mechanical, the ones that you put 20p in, opens up and you can walk in. There aren't very many of those. There aren't very many of those toilets, which is really annoying. When you want to use a toilet in the city, where do you go to use toilets? In the old days, I remember in the 80s and the 90s, you could walk into a pub and ask to use a toilet, but they stopped that. For various reasons. So if you try to go to a toilet, a public, a pub in the city, it will say in the window, toilets are for customers only. That's what it says. That's their policy. So I'm a bit annoyed that the CEO feels the need to go running around the country to do what? You know? Here we go. The chief executive of Starbucks on Monday called for unconscious bias training for store managers, and unequivocally apologized for what he called reprehensible circumstances that led to the arrest of two black men at a Philadelphia store. Holy sweet Christmas. Holy sweet Christmas. Unless there's more information that we didn't see, okay, as far as I'm concerned, if that's the information that we've got, i.e., they went in the store, they asked for some to use the toilet, and they wanted to sit down and wait for their friend, okay, and they didn't buy anything, okay, what it means is that in the future, what will happen when anybody can walk into that store, so 10 black guys walk into that store, and they all sit down, and they buy nothing. And yet white people walk into that store, and they sit down, and then start telling white people, can you leave? Because you haven't bought anything. What's going to happen then? I think to avoid this situation in the future, one, stop the Wi-Fi. Two, remove the toilets. The company's not obliged to provide you any toilets at all. Okay? Are not obliged to provide you any toilets at all. Okay? Or if they do provide toilets, then they have a, like they do in I think it's London Bridge in the UK, 20p. So you want to use a toilet, put a 20 pence piece, or and then it will open up and you can go and use the toilet. That's it. Simple as that. Then what? But then what do you do about people who decide to then sit down in the store? Look, the reason why they sort of harboured this community, it's all part of the marketing to get people into the store to buy products. Okay, but now it looks like they'll have to revise this. As a business, it should be, has the right to do. You don't have a right to Starbucks. Somebody set that business up. You didn't. The black community needs to set up its own Starbucks equivalent. But it won't do it because it's too damn lazy. Get off your ass. Set up your own Starbucks equivalent. Okay? And then you can loiter all day. Black people can loiter all day. They want. Set up your own business. God damn it. This is nonsense. It's really, really annoying. You know? Holy sweet Christmas. See, let's click on that. Yeah, black man video tape. Starbucks refusal to let him use. Right, okay, so it says refuse to let him to use restroom. So what? Go elsewhere. Go elsewhere. It's not a public convenience. It's not provided by the government. The toilet is there as for our customers. He wasn't a customer because he wouldn't buy anything. God almighty. CEO meets with two black men arrested in Philadelphia shore. I hope they feel they're going to feel sort of really puffy and proud of themselves. But at the end of the day, no, this is embarrassment. If I'm asked to leave a store, I'll leave. And if it's done on prejudice, I will leave anyway. Why would I want to go into that store? I was a young guy who used to live in Sheffield. And I remember I walked into Debenhams in Sheffield Moors. It was a big, massive, big mall. It was one of the few malls in traffic couldn't go through. This is when I was about 15, 16. And I was with a young white friend. He was born in Zimbabwe, well, then Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe. And we were walking around the store because we were looking for some, trainers. Do you know the one? I had never noticed it before. I used to go shopping in there on a regular basis. I never noticed it. But the first thing when we had gone through the store looking for whatever we were looking for. My friend this white young man turned to me and said, "Do you notice that young girl over there that's following us?" And I turned and I looked. I said, "Which one?" And he pointed. It was a member of staff, and she was looking on the shelves doing her business. I said, "Really?" I said, "Why is that?" He says, "I know the reason why." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "It's because of you." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah. I know what the situation is." And this is in the 70s, middle to late 70s. So I said, "Okay, let's just wander around and see." So we wandered around, aimlessly around the store. And every time we looked, there she was, on a shelf. We literally went through up and down the whole of that store just to see if she was following us. And she followed us at every turn. Looking, stopping, looking at the shelf, moving. Wherever we stopped to look at things, look to our right or look to our left, there she was. And so we walked out the store. We just walked out the store. And we went elsewhere. And that was annoying for me because I wish he hadn't pointed that out to me. Because after that, going into a store, I was always conscious of staff or somebody following me around. And it's true. Because I'd look around and there I'd see the same person, a white female, would be there, nearby, member of staff doing their thing. You move somewhere else, there they are again when you look. But I gradually got to the point where I said, look, this is their business. They can do what they like. And if they want to their staff spend their time following me, okay. When they have security cameras now, especially all over the place, the real perpetrators, that usually white people, can be stealing their business, their goods, and running out the door while they're spending their time looking at me when 4 or 5 white people have gone out of the store with goods when they should be paying attention to those people. But they don't. You know. But listen, again, that's their business, that's their store. And as a black person, you know, when you go into a store, you're going to be watched, you're going to be looked at. Okay? But they want your money. They want your money. But, when I usually go into a store, and I know I'm going to buy something, and what I want, I just walk in, I look around, and I see if there's a member of staff, and I'll go up to the member of staff and say, right, this is what I'm looking for, that's what I'm looking for. I make them work. That's what they're there for. I get them to do the job. And what usually finds, especially if I'm buying a technical product, and you start asking them questions before you know it, especially in a place called PC World, they just want to get away from you because they can't answer the questions. They can't answer it. And they end up walking away because you're way too technical for them. And all they want to do is you buy the product and go. And when they can't answer your questions very easily, they might try and get somebody else, or they'll just walk off. You don't see them again, which is fine. And then you just wander around the store. Black people, start growing a backbone. If you go into a store, you know what the issue is, you know what the situation is. Okay. If America is such a place that you cannot no longer live, there is Africa. there's Ghana, there's Nigeria, there's South Africa. Okay, there's even the northern side of it, which is mostly Muslim. You can go and live in Africa, and or go elsewhere. I don't know where else you can go. Maybe, yeah, South America. I mean, if it's just becoming that oppressive for black people, more than what was happening in the 1920s and 30s and 40s, because what I've been reading of that time for black people, that was absolute hell on earth. Hell! And before that, I know about all that's gone on. We need to try and move forward. And this kind of thing doesn't help. Because when the information comes out, when all the truth comes out, they're going to be white people are going to sit back and saying, there you go, black people playing victim again. An underlying dislike of black people will still keep on there. This is a nothing burger. Let's stop this. Where there is real prejudice, okay, then we need to stand up for this. I mean, even if that person, even if they were, just get up and go somewhere else. Stand outside. When you're on the sidewalk, there isn't anything they can do about it. Okay, they could have stood outside on the sidewalk waiting for their friend. Okay, they could have stood outside waiting for their friend. I'm sorry. There are businesses. Sometimes when you walk into a business, and if you're waiting for someone, you say, "I'll meet you in this place," and if you don't buy anything, a white person, someone will come up to you and say, "Excuse me, sir or madam, is there anything you would like to buy? You going to buy anything?" "Oh no, I'm just waiting for a friend." "Really? Sorry, you can't wait for your friend here. This is a business establishment. We expect you to buy something. If you're not going to buy anything, then you can leave." And usually what someone will do is, "Oh, okay, what is there? All right, I'll have a bottle of water." Boom, there you go. Problem solved. Problem solved. Those guys could have bought something. Remember this, people. Starbucks is a privately owned business, and they are allowed to put whatever rules they want, as long as it's not sexist, as long as it's not racial, and all the other prejudice, etc., etc. Okay, so nothing burger. This is nonsense. Stop bitching. Okay, these guys just wanted their 15 minutes of fame, and they've got it now. But what I feel really annoyed about is that the manager, where was it? Sorry, let me just go back to where it was. The store manager who called 911 on black men no longer at store. So, what does this say? This says that black people can be victims all the time now. In this day and age, black people can now consistently play victim. I saw some stupid video of a black woman was complaining, I think about Walmart, putting some black beauty products behind the counter under lock and key, and was suing. Of course she's suing. She's looking for a payday out of it. This is the same thing. This is just a payday. And more black people are looking for the opportunity of payday because they're pulling the race card. And this is what this is about. So, I've said my piece. This is nonsense. Stop it. There are much better things to be doing. I've said my bit. Thank you.